It's February already, and with the Ryloth Open only a few weeks out, we've seen a balance update from the good folks over at ARH. The return of a restricted list with 4 additions, 3 removals from the reprint list, and that's right, Dryden Vos is back, baby. A huge shout out to our channel members for supporting what we do here. If you want to get involved with the channel and the Dice Commando community, please consider joining as a channel member. Remember, these videos are only possible with your support. You can show that support with a like, a subscribe, and by leaving us a comment and sharing your feedback. Community first, and go Commando. Hey there, Star Wars Destiny folks. Welcome back to Dice Commando and the Commando cast, and happy Destiny Friday. Hope everything's been going well for you and you're continuing to roll specials or threes or rerolls as the case might be, because that Rainbow reroll deck is pretty darn good. So yes, we're talking about the balance update that came out effectively yesterday, as of the time of this video going live on February 2nd. Some big changes there, but first I want to remind everybody of the Ryloth Galactic Open coming up on the 25th and 26th of February. So this is your standard Galactic Open series. You can see some of the fun cards, some of the spot glosses that you can earn there. So sign-up details, of course, Heat 1 is on the 25th of February at 6 a.m. CDT, noon UK time. Well, you can adjust for all of your various times there, but that one is a Hera spot gloss card. So you can see that one down here, kind of her in a forward arc position with her pistol. On the Heat 2 is at 2 p.m. CDT. That's the Fifth Brother one. Very cool there with the live action Fifth Brother as the subject. And then Heat 3 is a Kira spot gloss. Now remember, all of these are $15 per event, and you get paid tickets by win, and it is a tiered payout because once you get to a certain point, they start paying you out more, right? So 1 win is 1 ticket, 2 is 2, 3 is 3, but 4 is 6, 5 is 9, and 6 is 12. And then do remember that is in addition to your normal tickets, and you can turn those tickets in, 12 tickets for characters. So you do have to basically go 6 wins in one tournament, but you can play multiple tournaments. So if that's something you're interested in, do make sure you check that out. And then we do have Darth Vader. So yes, check that out. Again, just a reminder, that is the 25th and 26th of February. It's going to be here before you know it, because we have, in the U.S. at least, well, everywhere I suppose, but American football has the Super Bowl coming up, and then it's Mardi Gras weekend, and then it's Galactic Weekend Open. So don't sleep on signing up. All right, yes, so today we're talking about the balance update. So thank you again to Elrath for doing a very great, he does a fantastic job writing these articles. They're very succinct, to the point, and they cut right to it. So yes, let's run down it. That's right, the restricted list is back, right? Many of us remember the restricted list in its various iterations back in the days. But in this case, when constructing a deck, a player may select only 1 card from the restricted list, but as many copies of that card. So you could play 2 Jarkais, you could play 2 Jedi Temple Guards, but you could not play Jarkai and Jedi Temple Guard together in any quantity. So the 4 cards that are added to the restricted list are Jarkai, the Jedi Temple Guards, Tusken Camp, and Headstrong. So Headstrong is very impactful on this list, I believe, as really the only removal that goes on there. Now, Tusken Camp and Jedi Temple Guards together, I think, is great. It really keeps in check some of those rampy ramp type things. Jedi Temple Guards is a very good support. Tusken Camp is a borderline insane support. And having those with Jarkai really not, I mean, they can be played together. I think that's not super impactful. Jedi Temple Guards and Tusken Camp together, I think, makes sense. Jarkai and Headstrong together in the cases where that may be relevant, it's there. But then again, having Headstrong on there with Tusken Camp, would you often see those two played together? Because why would you not? Because there are not many decks running yellow that are not running Headstrong. I don't know why you would, right? So this is very interesting to see the way it plays out. The next part, I think, is relevant. So they have some updates to the Echoes of Destiny. They've removed 3. Pacify, that's a big one. That's a very popular card that was from Way of the Force, I do believe. Very useful card ever since then, right? You can give free shields or something. I think it was actually good in the meta right now because of the prevalence of Tusken Camp, and you could remove that die and give shields to nobody. Right? That's always okay because there's no character. It's character die, but no character associated to it. So I thought that was always a cool move. But it's very strong in Very strong blue decks, right? And Commando Raid, I think, makes sense. That card's very, very, very strong. That card had been the target of some stuff before, even back in the FFG days. Then we have the Jedi Lightsaber, which I think makes a lot of sense, right? He's good, right? He's very good. We have many recursion options, and the 2 shields on play only just to then overwrite it with something else is very, very, very strong. So I think in order to curb those, curb those dual blue recursion decks, because often they were dual blue, especially with Obi-Wan, who's super strong, I think it makes a lot of sense for that move. All right, now moving on with the bad news that rocked the community earlier this week, late last week. I've heard exactly when it came in, but the loss of the community to one of our friends, one of our leaders, AOZ, has passed away. And in honor of that, I think this is actually really cool. They've brought back Dryden Vos, right? So for those of you who maybe were not in the community at the time, one of AOZ's notorious, that's what I was with the time he came on this channel, I referred to him as the notorious AOZ. But yeah, what he had done was one of the feathers in his cap, I suppose, that he'll probably always be remembered for Destiny, was when he did very, very, very well and surprised everybody with a Dryden Vos deck, when Dryden Vos was Dryden Vos in price, and did very, very well at a tournament, I believe, in California somewhere. So, I think that's a really good tip of the hat, whoever came up with that. Major props. So, best of luck to everyone impacted by, well, we all are impacted, but, if you are feeling the loss more than anyone, know that we're here, and that is sad. He was a good leader, a good part of this community, an important part of this community. So I don't really know much else to say there, but I think having Dryden there, then we'll always look at it on the reprint list and think of AOZ. I think that's very, very appropriate. Now, let's not just pay lip service to that, because Dryden Vos coming in at 13-16, I think opens up some pretty interesting pairings. I haven't really had the time to sit down and wrap my head around all of that yet. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's some pretty cool stuff to come out of that. And I think we'll commit to go ahead and do a video on that later. Look at all the pairings out there and see what can happen. Remember, 16 points means 13s with high stakes maybe, because you're playing expensive stuff in theory. There's capital ships and stuff out there. Very, very, very fascinating to see what we could do there. All right, so now the important part of all of this is the effective date, right? So this is basically a go now, and it's time to prepare for the Galactic Opens, right? That's the point here. So the decks, I think, that will come out of this strong. I think the reroll deck, I think, is very strong. I don't see that really being impacted here. I mean, it's running Headstrong. I mean, it's running Temple Guards. So they have to make the decision in that deck really to which one they're going to run. Probably run Headstrong. But it's a very interesting call because Headstrong is a spot yellow. So in a lot of cases, since it's rainbow, if you take their yellow out, then they can't play it anyway, whereas Jedi Temple Guards just kind of does what you want it to do, and it's very good support. So maybe they do skew that direction. We will have to see. Bassmaster, for example, has been playing that deck to great effect. Some of the videos went up a couple weeks ago. Be interesting to see the next iteration on that deck with him and how much it affects it. So that'll be something to watch. And then I think the very real impact of this is going to be the blue wall, right, with the recursion. I really think that Jedi Lightsaber going out is going to carry significant impact overall. So we will see what the smart kids can do over the next, 3 weeks until the Ryloth Open, and see what comes out of that across the various heats. One of the cool things about watching the Galactic Open weekend unfold is that you have time, not much, but you have time in between the 3 waves. People rarely play the same deck in all 3. People who do multiple waves rarely play the same deck. They usually try. So it's very interesting to see how the mini meta over the weekend evolves and which decks end up coming out on top and which players are playing what. That's always interesting to watch as well. Even if they're not necessarily winning, it gives you good insight into kind of where their heads are at and where they may end up. So I do think that decks that'll come out of this are, I think it helps aggro a little bit, right? I mean, if you really look at what's being hit, it's more setup-based type stuff. So there's a very good argument to be made for like a Hera being better now than she was. But one thing you will still notice is absent from this list that I think some of us expected was Obi-Wan Kenobi. Did not get, right, we did not see any balance of the Force or anything like that. This was just a overall balance update. So with those characters still, right, those characters did take hits indirectly through the cards, but the characters are still very good. And someone like Obi, I still think sees a lot of play, and people just adjust around it. So we will see what the overall impact to the relative strength of those decks is, but I wonder how much the meta will actually change in terms of what's being represented, but maybe what's winning. So awesome job, AirH folks. Always keeping us on our toes. And again, Elras, shout out. This was really great and succinct article. So thank you. So one last time, as we close this out, just want to throw up again the Ryloth Galactic Open. That is coming our way. Like I said, before you know it, it's going to be here. So make sure you plan, get your weekends ahead, and sign up for it if that's something you're interested in doing. Anyway, so that'll wrap it up today. Please let me know in the comments below, what do you think is going to happen with the meta? Did any of your decks get blowed up? Any of your decks look better now? Let me know what you think. If nothing else, folks, as always, go Commando.